Hello, everybody, and this is Marissa. And today I wanted to do a podcast on fostering animals. Just talk about the full spectrum of what it is, why do certain people do it, and how does it help. So, what is animal rescue? Animal rescue is basically a situation where there's an animal, either somebody, you find it out in the street, or somebody doesn't want an animal anymore, and you take in that animal as a foster with the intention of not keeping it, but basically getting that dog what it needs to get it to go to its forever home. So that's kind of like a quick rundown of what animal rescue is. Um, why do I do animal rescue? There are several reasons why I do animal rescue, but the main one is that I love animals and I want to help them. The second reason and how I actually started doing this was after a period in my life where I had lost my dog Layla. Layla was a very smart dog, and one of the days when I was letting her out to potty, Layla knew how to open the latch to get out of the gate, and that day she did. And I happened to live near a busy street, and by the time I found out that Layla was out, I couldn't find her in my immediate neighborhood. So me and my family start looking for Layla, and this is about, I don't know, 7, 8 o'clock at night. It's already dark. Got on Facebook, uh, asked my neighbors if they had seen her. Some people had seen her. Started looking for her, and it was about 2 hours that we looked for Layla. And the saddest thing is that Layla got run over in our busy street coming back. She had, I don't know where she had been, but I was beyond devastated, and I thought, and I don't want to cry during this story, but I was beyond devastated because I had just passed that street looking for her. So it hadn't even been 5 minutes. And when I found her, she didn't have a she didn't have a pulse. She looked dead. But I managed to pick her up, still took her to the vet, and still, I mean, I looked awful. I was like in my nightgown. Like God bless those people at the vet. I still asked them to please try to revive her, and there was nothing they could do. So I was devastated, and I was pretty upset with just the world. I thought there's so many people that don't love animals and don't care, and actually don't take the proper care of them, or will give them away in a whim. And I loved Layla. Like, I looked for her. We loved her. That was not her case, and why did she have to get run over? So I was filled with grief for quite some time. And I was part of a face group, a couple of face group animal groups that help animals. Like, and I remember I've always tried to save animals, and you see this one animal that's about to get, put down or whatnot, and some people at the very end will go and rescue it, an animal group, and I hadn't actually gone out to like the pound at that point and been connected to a rescue to help animals. I had saved like one or two before. Didn't really have one specific rescue group that I was attached to at that time, but I had sort of saved animals, but it wasn't like I wasn't like a legit foster. But after that happened with Layla, I felt like a hole in my heart that I needed to fill. And I remember every time there was a dog that was going to get put down or something, everybody's always writing, please, somebody go get him, please, please. A lot of people that love them, please, they're always asking for somebody else to go do, to save that animal. And I remember when I saw Coffee, I was also begging and pleading for somebody to please go and rescue Coffee. It was a black little pit that I saw, was baby, and all his 11 brothers and sisters had already been put down. He was the last one, and he was about to get sent to the pound because for what reason or another, the person that had him was asking for help because she couldn't keep him anymore. So I don't know what happened, but that day I just thought, I'm tired of asking others to do something that I can do. Like, I'm tired of leaving that to others. I I'm tired of asking others to do what I wish they could do. I need to step up. So Coffee was the first rescue that I actually stepped up, and I said, I'll foster him. I knew I wasn't going to keep Coffee, but I thought I'll foster him. And I looked really hard for rescues because there's a lot of rescues, not a lot, but there's a couple of rescues in our area. Sometimes some of them are so full that, they just can't help you. And the way they help is they coordinate getting the animal what they need, and will help to get the animals adopted. I had the means of caring for the animal in my house, nurturing it, all that, but I really didn't know people that wanted them. And by the time that you're fostering, you want these animals to go to a good home. You don't want them to go to a home that maybe they want them, maybe they don't. If conditions arise, they'll just take them to the pound. That's not the home that you want to send these animals to. These animals are your babies. You've nurtured them. You've raised them. You've put time in them. They're your babies that you're kind of sending off to. You can't keep them all, so you understand that. So I had Coffee, and I reached out to a couple of rescues, and I said, listen, I've got this puppy I need help with. I'm fostering it. Will you please help me? And that's when I came across Dogs Rescue RS, which is the current rescue group that I'm mainly attached to. And I've rescued like at least 15 dogs with them the last 2 years at this point. And they're amazing. Amazing, so well organized. And they're actually the biggest rescue group in this area, in both the Twin Cities and around the area here where I live. And so what happens when you bring a dog? You really want to, if you're thinking of rescuing, first be a dog lover and know that things are not going to be perfect, and they're not. And there's going to be some shoes that are probably going to get chewed up or something. You're basically bringing dogs from the street. A lot of those dogs have never lived, in a house. They're still going through the puppy phase where they're chewing things up. Just love them, nurture them, and understand them. If you love shoes more than animals, then you don't realize that you need to put things away, then maybe think about it a little bit more, because it is hard work. You're bringing in another living being that's probably been traumatized, most certainly has been traumatized, not probably very well taken care of. Some of these animals that I had, the ones I rescued on Thanksgiving, the little tiny puppies that were freezing outside. Can you imagine? I mean, it was so cold. They hadn't had a warm place to live since they had been born. So you're bringing in pretty rough, traumatized animals that haven't had their shots, haven't been dewormed, so they're pooping all over the place. So the first week can be a little rough depending on the animal and how feral they are. Puppies are like great though. They learn pretty quickly, and it helps when you have a calm dog. If you've seen some of my other videos, my calm dad dog is Choncho. He's just, some people say pit bulls are mean and whatnot, and they are very powerful animals, and you need to have respect for animals. Like, when there's stories out there that things happen, yes, but you as the adult need to understand your dog's temperament, and don't put any animal in a position, or a child or a human, where they could hurt others, and work with them through training. So Choncho is my calm big pit bull that's pretty old, and most of my fosters, I know that I could put Choncho with any baby, and the babies are just so happy to be here. They just want to play, and it's amazing that they love you too, and they just want to be held and petted. But whenever I put them with another dog, it's like they know that's their people. Like, that's not their people, but that's their canine, like they really love Choncho, and they want to like play with him and paw him. And he's just such a cool, calm dog that seems to understand the needs of these puppies, because when they come to his face and stuff, all he does is kind of just puts his little face down. He doesn't ever get mad or snarl at them or bark. It's just, I could see that it's too much sometimes, so I'll put the puppies away. But I love to have a dog like Choncho because they need to see a calm, collected dog, because hopefully they're going to go into another home where that home has animals, and you want them to all get along, you know. And at first it could be, well, you need to be careful that one dog doesn't have too much more energy than another dog, and that's usually what happens. Like the older dogs kind of want to be left alone. There's only so much they'll tolerate in the beginning, and then they just love the new addition to the family. But that's what I would do, is after they've been quarantined, like I kind of quarantine them in their little space. I let them smell each other when I bring a new puppy through like a gate. And thank God I have like it was actually a dog room that I had when my house was being built. I had that addition done, but it could be an office. So I can very easily separate them through a gate, and they can smell each other and get to know each other. And they're usually very curious about each other, your animals and the puppies. And let them kind of integrate. At this point, you get them, and one of the things they need the most is love. They need to know that they're going to be safe. I mean, I have picked up animals that had been abandoned by their owners, older animals, and I think if you see, Kingston is one of the greatest examples. I think he was like a 5-year-old. He was just shaking the whole time when I went to get him at the pound to here to my house, like shaking. I had to hold him. I mean, and I didn't have to, but like he was just shaking and crying. So you knew that he had been through so much. He was either found, somebody dumped him, got rid of him, and he had owners before, so he's probably grieving that his owners don't want him anymore for one reason or another. Never got his story. And so I could tell that he was terrified. So when he got home, I put him with little Sunflower, which was a calm little puppy, just to know that he was going to be safe, and there was another animal there. He was very protective of food, so you have to be careful. Like, I don't know what situation he was in before, or maybe that's just his personality, but little Kingston was protective of food. I'm sure he went through some times when he didn't have any food. So you want to get to learn their behavior. Some of them are just happy-go-lucky from the get-go. Like Sisu was just a big old goofball. First we thought he was a girl, so we named him Sisu, and he ended up being a puppy, a mastiff at that. He just grew like crazy, and I think we ended up naming him Cowboy, although I couldn't resist calling him Sisu until the end. But Sisu was just never an ounce of wanting to fight or protect food or anything. He just wanted to play with you the whole time. So you want to give them lots of love when they get to your home. You want to understand they've probably gone through some stuff. You want to know that maybe your dogs are not ready to interact with them right away. And when you do have them meet, because you're wanting to socialize them, you're wanting to get them ready to go to a new home, and hopefully you've trained them a little bit. You've let them know that they're going to have food, they're going to have love. From now on, they're going to be loved. Whatever they went through in the past, hopefully that chapter is over, because now they're with a rescue. And the rescues are pretty good about not just letting them go with anybody. Some of them will even go and inspect your house. And what they're doing, they're caring about the animal. And if you don't care about the animal you're about to adopt, you probably shouldn't adopt from a rescue. You shouldn't adopt an animal, and like educate yourself. And why wouldn't you love something that loves you so much? But that's what typically happens so I've been a foster, I am a foster with this organization. What typically happens is I'll get the animal, you kind of want to watch them a little bit. You usually have a separate crate, like a big, when I say crate, I mean a big area, not that they're kind of in this tiny little thing. And you want to put them next to an animal, either around them or close, so they can know that they're safe. And you want to pet them and just, however, if you love animals, you know what I'm talking about. Give them enough food. A lot of these animals have not been dewormed. If they've gone to the pound, they probably got one set of shots and had one set of deworming. But a lot of the ones I pick up from the street are not dewormed. So that means a lot of poop, running poop. So you want to get the deworming on board pretty quickly. With the rescue that I work with, they provide everything. And we always give them 3 sets of shots of their vaccinations, spread apart, and at least 2 weeks spread apart. And then they get dewormed, and then they get spayed or neutered. And within that time, sometimes it's about a month and a half, 2 months is about the time that I've kept puppies. Sometimes it could be quick, like they'll get another rescue that's going to pick up this puppy, and they transport out of the West Texas where I live. This is not I hate to say this, at this time, this is not a great area for animals. A lot of people come here for work and just leave the dogs, and some people just probably shouldn't be adopting animals and get those animals, but it's pretty high. We have a really high rate of abandoned animals here in this area. So what Dogs Rescue RS, I mean, they've actually taken animals all the way up to Canada. Coffee, the first one that I ever fostered, went to Canada. I thought that was just amazing. They have this big old school bus that it's called a transport bus, and they get them all there, and they'll take them to Chicago, Oregon, Canada, just all over the country, and they're connected to big rescue organizations all over. So I think it's amazing. And you people should look into this. There are people that are not kind to animals, and then there's people on the whole opposite spectrum that so love animals that make it their life mission to save them, going through great lengths. Sometimes there's a plane that comes here and takes just the dogs to a specific rescue, which I think is amazing, and it just fills my heart to know that there's something happening to help these animals, and I'm part of it. So after that's done, it's been about a month to 2 months, and sometimes it could be longer. With the pits, it's usually a little bit longer because, unfortunately, they're harder to adopt, to be honest. The little furry ones are easier to adopt. It seems that way to me, but it kind of just depends. So that's kind of like the gist of you of you fostering an animal. And why do people do it? We do it because we love animals and we want them to have a good life. And the sad thing is that if there were appropriate laws that made everybody spay and neuter and not allow the breeders to just breed for money, like some of the breeders will, if the dogs have issues, they'll just get rid of them. And it's been amazing to work with this organization that some dogs have gotten parvo and other stuff, and the amount of effort and money that goes into saving a little puppy that might not make it, it melts my heart. And that's the way it should be. It's a living thing that just wants to love you. So somebody asked me once, one of my coworkers, I'm a nurse professionally, but I think she asked me one time, like, what do you get out of it? And I thought of it for a little bit because I'd never even considered that question. And I said, well, it helps my heart. So what I'm getting out of it, it helps my heart. There's so many things in this world that I don't agree with, that I wish could change. And I can't change everything, but this is one small thing that I can make a difference, even if it's one dog at a time, and that helps my heart. So there's that. Whenever you're rescuing dogs, and if you're doing this for a while, and it's hard work, guys, like there's a lot of poop that needs to be cleaned up first, but it's so rewarding. It's so rewarding and they're so smart. Like when I leave the little puppies with Choncho and they just want to follow him around and do everything, it's amazing how fast they learn and grow. Because when Choncho's ready to go outside to potty, they just want to follow him, and then they're seeing everything he's doing. So you don't even have to train them. You do, but like they learn by seeing their guide, which is Choncho. Like it's amazing how quickly, immediately after they spend a significant amount of time with him, they just know how to potty all of a sudden. They know it's when they go outside. And they're uncomfortable when they're not dewormed. I mean, who wants to be pooping watery diarrhea, not them. Keep a journal or a vlog or pictures, because it's going to be an amazing journey. And before you know it, after you do this, even if it's one dog at a time, it's easier to start fostering more if they're little or they're the same breed and you can keep them all together. So at one point, at my highest point, I think I had nine little, because I had a litter of 6. So it's not like, oh my God, I have 9. It's like, it was a litter of 6 and 3 others, and they were all about the same size. And I've got a couple of crates. That one did take a couple of rounds to letting them go outside, and the crates were huge, or just pins where I could keep them, and some of them were going sporadically, but the most I've had is 9. Right now I'm just at 1. One of my dogs just passed away recently, and it's taken a little bit for me to heal and to get back into the swing of things. But you know, if all like you could do is 1 and you need to take a break, that's fine too, you know. Hopefully laws will be enacted where people, like I went on a tangent, but it's sad, and it's also like, I know so much can be done, so I'm hopeful, because I know that if the correct laws are in place, basically if you have an animal, spay and neuter your animal, the amount of death that usually happens, people getting rid of the litters, that they're unwanted litters, would go away. So hopefully the legislators will do something, because it's so easy to help out these animals if we just had correct laws. That I need to do, we need to do something about that, like just talking to our Congress people or our legislators. That's, I mean, that's so much that can be done, and some places are starting to do that. Like it's starting to come around, so I have so much hope in that arena. And lastly, wait to be amazed. Like, I'm here now, it's been about 2 years, and I've saved about 15 dogs, and I haven't actually counted. I've got an Excel sheet, but I can kind of see them sporadically in my mind. And I am amazed. And I wanted to end with Coffee's story, because the very first time you do that, like you're saying, okay, I'm gonna foster. And if you're a person that really loves animals and they're with you for a while, I kept thinking the whole time, maybe I can keep him. Maybe I can keep him. Like, maybe nobody's gonna love him the way I love him. Like, maybe I can keep him this whole time. But I had gotten him thinking this whole time, no, I'm gonna foster him, and I want him to go to an amazing home. So the great thing about this organization is that's what happened to Coffee. When it was time for me to finally let him go, he was about to go on transport, and it happened to be Canada for him. I remember talking to the rescue, and I was thinking, well, maybe I want to keep him, maybe I don't. They were like, well, you know, think about it, but you know, it gets easier to foster, and because you always want to feel like you want to keep them all, and they do go to these amazing homes. So I was like this the crying, sobbing mom. Like, I couldn't even talk when they're so cool, they're so organized, and we usually go to this area where the transport's pretty huge, so a lot of people are coming at specific times, and then they're tagging them and paperwork and all that. And I remember I couldn't even talk, I was just crying, so I was bawling my eyes out. And I remember they were like, I know, honey, I know. Like, they were consoling me. And I really couldn't talk. I was just like, here. And they took him, and they're like, he's gonna go to a great home. That was my first time, but I was able to do it. And I have to tell you that I'm so grateful, because few months later, I got pictures and a text from Coffee's dad in Canada. And I have to tell you guys, Coffee has the best life. He has 2 brothers, or brother and a sister, I don't know, but he gets to run around. He gets to go to work with his new dad. He goes on boat rides. It's Coffee has the life that I wish every dog could have. And I'm glad that I got to see that, because all the effort and the fear that I had that maybe he was going to go somewhere that might not, you know, want him or take good care of him, went away. And I'm like, he gets to go on hikes. He's already torn a couple of shoes, but his dad loves him so much that, and they get better after they get out of their puppy phase. You don't always get shoes torn, but you know they love them enough if they've torn their shoes and they still keep them and they're still sending you pictures and they're spoiled. You know they're in the right place. So just wanted to do this podcast of why people rescue, what is rescue, and if you're wanting to possibly do it because you want to help save a dog or an animal or a cat, there's a lot of need out there. Start educating yourself. There's tons of websites, or reach out to me. I could tell you a little bit more about my stories. And it's been an amazing journey, and wait to be amazed. So I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.